Today we'll be doing our first impressions and review of the Traeger Timberline 850. This is one of Traeger's higher end pellet grills, and we're really excited about trying it out. For those of you who follow us on the channel here, you'll know we've been using the Pro Series 34 a lot. We love that grill, but we're excited about trying out a higher end version of it as well, especially for Canadian winters. So today we'll take you through our first impressions, talk about some of the features we're excited about testing out, and as well bring you through the burn-in to season this grill up. Let's get started. Let's just get the pellet hopper loaded up here. We're using a Traeger Signature Series pellet here. It's a premium pellet made of hickory, maple, and cherry. On the back of the pellet hopper, there's also a magnetic hatch that allows you to easily empty out the pellets that are in there currently if you want to switch out to another flavor. Traeger has tons of different options for flavor perspective. They've got mesquite, hickory, apple, cherry, pecan, oak. So you can play with different flavors and find one that fits your taste profile. Let's get started with the burn-in. Just gonna need to turn the main power switch on the back of the Traeger. Now to start the burn-in, we're just gonna turn on the Traeger. Gonna go into menu, we'll select Auger, and then we need to prime the Auger. Now, what this is gonna do, it's gonna take 1 minute and 40 seconds. It's just gonna start pushing some of the pellets through the Auger and toward the burn pot. And we're gonna check that out in a minute. But while this Auger's priming, let's take you through things on the grill. So the biggest difference right up front that you'll notice between the Timberline 850 and our Pro Series is just the overall build quality. The walls on the smoker are a lot thicker for better heat retention. There's more technology built into the grill. The grates are thicker. Just everything from a build quality is higher. But that of course comes with a cost. The cost of the 850 is about $1,800 US, and that compares to about $1,000 for the Pro 34. So in this grill, we've got 850 square inches of grilling space, hence the Timberline 850 name. The temperature range on this grill, you can cook at 165 all the way up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. There's also a new convection system in the Timberline 850, and that convection system allows you to maintain a temperature within 5 degrees of your target temp. Really excited about that, in particular for Canadian winters, so looking forward to getting a few cooks under our belt. We've got a 20-pound pellet hopper that will provide 20 hours of cooking time, so that's more than enough for long cooks like briskets. Then we've got a bamboo cutting board on top of the pellet hopper, and that's a nice touch because it just gives you an area to do some prep work before you start grilling. There's some other shelves around the outside too, which is great if you're just looking for a spot to put your seasoning. One of the shelves also has some hooks in it if you want to hang your utensils while you're grilling. It's just a really nice clean setup. Then you've got a meat probe that's built right into the grill. You just plug it in, run it right through the port in the side of the grill, and then you can plug it into your protein. So I'm a little surprised they just have one meat probe. Given the amount of real estate you've got here, it's not uncommon to think you'd be grilling 2 briskets or multiple pork butts, and that just seems like a bit of an oversight. The installation on this is actually pretty easy. I was able to do the majority of it myself. I needed a little bit of help while we were just installing the legs, but once we got those installed, I was able to finish it up myself, and from start to finish, I was done and dusted in about an hour. So the main thing I'm looking forward to trying out with the Timberline 850 here is just how this holds up in winter cooking. As we mentioned, the build quality on this relative to the Pro Series is significantly higher. In particular, the thickness and the gauge of the steel used in the construction of the grill. So that should be able to insulate it from the elements much better. It should be able to maintain temperature more evenly through really cold cooks. They also have a gasket on the top lid, and as you can see here, this just helps to improve the seal between the lid and the main unit when you close it down. So this should just be another thing to help you maintain temps in cold weather cooks. So the Timberline 850 has an extra grilling shelf relative to the Pro Series. So we've got 2 main grills and then a third one that's just a cooling rack. Now because of that, we have a similar amount of grilling space to the Pro 34, which has 880 square inches of grilling space. Here we've got 850 as we mentioned previously, which is pretty incredible given the footprint of the grill is much smaller. Another feature we're really excited about is that the top temp on this grill is 500 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're doing steaks indirect, once you're finished with the initial smoke, you don't have to fire up your gas grill in order to sear them off. You can just crank up your Traeger and sear them straight on the pellet grill, which is pretty amazing. The Traeger Timberline 850 also has a new grease management system in it. So you'll see there's a little tray here that you can pull out, and all of the drippings, if you're doing something fatty like a brisket, will drip down into this tray. There's a little foil lining that you can swap out, and it just pushes back in to keep all that mess out of the way. The vent where smoke will recycle out of the chamber is all the way across the back here, and this differs from the typical style or typical setup where there's a chimney on the opposing side of the fire pot, so we'll see how that impacts smokiness. And then lastly, there's just a really nice brushed aluminum handle here, and again, speaking to the build quality, this is just a really nice feature that'll clean up easily if you mess it up with a dirty hand. All right, the auger is primed. So now we're gonna turn this to 350. We're gonna press ignite, and we're gonna wanna let this get up to temperature and then run for 20 minutes. And that's gonna be the first step of the timing process. We're really excited about the Traeger Wi-Fi app here. It lets you remotely monitor your grill temperature. You can change the temperature of your grill remotely. You can check the temperature of your protein. You can check the pellet level in your hopper. And this is done not via Bluetooth, it's done via Wi-Fi. So you can monitor and control your cook from anywhere you have a cell phone connection. It's great if you've got to go for a hike in the middle of the day or take the kids to baseball, you can still check on your cook. You can see here it's showing we're connected to the Wi-Fi, and I was a little worried how complicated this was going to be. But we took this out of the box, followed the steps, it connected the first time, incredibly easy. We've had some really expensive smokers sent to us that ran north of $5,000, and we had a lot of difficulty getting those connected to the Wi-Fi. But not in this case. This Traeger, super simple to set up. So the last thing I'll show you on the app here is you can pull up some recipe ideas. So you can just flip across here, let's select beef, and then it comes up with a whole bunch of recipes that have been designed by the pros. We've got brisket, prime rib, an Italian beef sandwich. You can go ahead and click on any of these, and then it gives you all the instructions, the full recipe, and these are designed by the pros. So it's really easy to follow, and you can knock out some cooks just like Traeger intended. So we've just hit 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and that was in 18 minutes and 30 seconds. So pretty quick startup considering it's a little chilly out, and we're at 57 degrees Fahrenheit as the external ambient temperature. So now we're just gonna let this go for 20 minutes, and then we're on to the next step of the burn-in. Now the purpose of this burn-in is in order to just blast away any of the manufacturing residue or grease that's on the inside of the Traeger and just prep it so that it's food grade and ready for some proteins. So we're just hitting the 20-minute mark on the first burn-in here. So what we're gonna do is just increase the temperature here to 500 degrees and then push the button in, and that's gonna change the target temperature there, as you can see, to 500 degrees. Now we're gonna let that go for another half hour. So we just passed the 30-minute mark. So now let's open up the lid and see what this burn-in has done. Now it doesn't really look like there's been any material change in discoloration. You can definitely tell that the fire's going on in there. So this has been a pretty easy burn-in. No difficulties at all. Took about an hour, as you'd expect, given the first cycle we ran for 20 minutes and the next we ran for 30. So there, we're done on the burn-in. And now we're just ready for our first cook. And I'm not sure what we're gonna do. If you've got any suggestions for our first cook, let us know in the comments below. Maybe I'll move the Traeger down to the dock here. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below where you think we should keep the Timberline 850. And of course, if there's any recipe ideas that you're looking for, keep me posted. Let me know what you want to see smoked up on the Timberline 850. Wow, just a beautiful, beautiful afternoon in mid-October. up in Canada don't get these very often, and the cold's gonna be coming soon.